Hello and welcome back to Unit 3.2. We're talking about angle pairs that are created when we have parallel lines and a transversal. Just a reminder, you can go back through your notes and check these out, but we're talking about alternate interior angles, which are going to be the angles that are inside the parallel lines but across from each other. Alternate exterior angles, which are outside of the parallel lines, still across from each other because it's alternate. Consecutive interior, and we're talking about inside the parallel lines on the same side as the transversal. So these two are on the same side as the transversal, and these two are on the same side as the transversal. And then corresponding angles are in the same place, just on opposite clusters. So we have our top cluster here and our bottom cluster here, and our corresponding angles are going to be in the same spot. So if we look at this top cluster, if we look at number 1, if we look at this bottom cluster, number 5 is in the same spot. They're corresponding. All right, so yesterday we left off with the Your Turn activities. And so for our Your Turn activities, the first slide, number 12 here, says using the given picture, find all the angle pairs specified. So number 1 said name both pairs of alternate interior angles. Well, alternate interior, pardon me, interior is going to be inside our parallel lines. So we have two parallel lines here. So we're looking at the inside here. And then it wants alternate interior. So alternate interior is going to be across from each other, across the transversal. So 3 and 9 and 7 and 6. So 3 and 9, and then 7 and 6. 2 asks us to name both pairs of alternate exterior angles. So if interior is inside of the parallel lines, exterior is outside of the parallel lines, and alternate is still across. So across the transversal, outside of the parallel lines, we have 14, 15, 12, and 2. So we need the alternate exterior. So across the transversal, outside of the parallel lines, we want 14 and 2 and 15 and 12. You guys see that here? See if we can. So 14. Nope, that didn't work out. So 14 and 2 and 15 and 12. So let's put that in our boxes. 14 and 2 and 15 and 12. Number 3 says name both pairs of consecutive interior angles. So we want consecutive interior angles. So that means the angles are going to be inside of the parallel lines, interior, and consecutive means they're on the same side as the transversal. So inside of the interior lines, we've got 3, 7, 6, and 9, but we want the pairs that are on the same side of the transversal. So we have, the first one is 3 and 6, and then 7 and 9. 3 and 6, 7 and 9. Because 3 and 6 are on one side of the transversal, they're on the same side, and 7 and 9 are on the same side of the transversal. So number 4 asks us to name all pairs of corresponding angles. So remember, corresponding angles are in the same spot, just on opposite clusters. So same spot, just opposite clusters. And we'll look at this top part here as our top cluster, and this bottom one here can be our bottom cluster. So if we look for we'll start with 14. If we come down here, what's in the same spot as 14? 6. So 14 and 6. Let's go over here to 15. We have 15 here. So what's in 15's spot down here at this cluster is going to be 9. So 15 and 9. Pardon me. Let's look at 3. So 3. And then down here on this cluster, what's in its spot? 12. And then 7. And down on this cluster, what's in 7's spot is 2. So 7 and 2. All right, great job, guys. On slide 13, it wanted you to answer each question using the picture provided. So we have 2 parallel lines and 2 transversals. 2 transversals. So when we look at this, this is going to be our top cluster, this will be our bottom cluster, and this will be our top cluster, and this will be our bottom cluster for this transversal. So number 1, what type of angles are 1 and 9? Well, let's look at 1 and 9. 1 is here, 9 is here. So these are, I should have put the types of angles right here. Ooh. So 1 and 9 are going to be corresponding. 2, what type of angles are 8 and 10? Let's find 8 and 10. So 8 and 10. Okay, well, here's our parallel lines. Are they inside or outside? They're inside. So that we know they're going to be interior, and they are on opposite sides of the transversal. They are across from each other, so that's going to be alternate interior. What type of angles are 3 and 13? Oh, well, we have to come over here to this transversal because 3 and 13 are over here. Well, 3 is right here, 13 is right here. They're both on the outside of the parallel lines. So they're going to be exterior angles, and they are across the transversal from each other, so they're going to be alternate. So alternate exterior. All right, number 5. What type of angles are 6 and 11? 6 and 11. Well, let's find 6 and 11. All right, so we're going to be working on this transversal right here. 6 is right here. 11 is right here. Sorry. So we have 6 and 11 are both inside the parallel line, so they're going to be interior, and they are on the same side as the, same side of the transversal. So they're going to be corresponding interior. Well, they're just going to be corresponding. You don't have to put interior, but it's good to know that they are inside, because that always tells us at least half that they want that. Consecutive interior. See? I don't know all the things. So they're not corresponding, they are consecutive. It's the corresponding that's by itself. There we go. All right, number 6. What type of angles are 4 and 12? 4 and 12. So we're on this transversal. Here's our 2 parallel lines. 4 is here. 12 is here. Well, they're on, one's inside and one's outside, so that's going to mark off if they're both interior or exterior. But they're in the same spot on these different clusters. So this is corresponding. There we go. So if they're in the same spot on opposite clusters, they're going to be corresponding. So now, what we're going to do today is we're going to do slides 14 and 15. We're going to work through a few of them together. I'm going to show you what I did, though, down here. On slide 15, we've got two parallel lines and two transversals. Just so in case you want to block out to not be distracted by the other transversal. I copied and pasted the gray box down here up here on slide 11, and so you can do that too. I just put it over here to the side in case I want to use it. So on slide 14, we have two vertical parallel lines. So here's our parallel line, and this is our parallel line with one transversal. So it's created two clusters of angles. On slide 15, we have two parallel lines, one here and one here, and these are horizontal, but we have two transversals, which are creating, this is going to be a top cluster and a bottom cluster, and a top cluster and a bottom cluster. So you always work with the same angles that are created by the transversal. So we wouldn't use these angles and these angles. We're going to use only the angles that are created by the same transversal. Let's work through a few of these together, and then I'm going to send you on your way. So let's look at angle 12 and 8. 12 and 8. So let's first determine if they're inside if they're inside or outside of the parallel lines. Well, here's our two parallel lines, and 8's on the outside and 12's on the outside, so they're exterior angles. And then what else can we notice about these two? Well, they're on opposite sides of the transversal, so they're going to be alternate because they're across the transversal interior. So let's come down here to our answers, and let's get us an alternate exterior. Oh, and I did the wrong one. See? We want alternate exterior. Here we go. And we put our answer right there. So let's look at 15 and 2. 15 and 2. Well, our first thing, let's determine if they're inside or outside of our parallel lines. Here's our parallel line. Here's our parallel line. 2 is on the inside as well as 15. And now, are they on the same side of the transversal, or are they across the transversal from each other? Well, these two are on the same side. They're on the same side. So these are going to be consecutive interior because they're on the inside and they're on the same side of the transversal. Inside of the parallel lines, same side as the transversal. All right, now let's look at this one. These get a little bit tricky when we're adding multiple transversals. We just have to focus on what we are looking at. So if we're looking at this first transversal, we're going to pretend this one doesn't even exist. Or if we're looking at the other transversal, we're going to pretend that one doesn't exist. We only want to focus on our top cluster and our bottom cluster each time. All right, guys? So 16 and 14, 16 and 14. All right, 16 and 14. Well, 16 is over here. 14 is over here. Let's first determine, are they, so if you want to, we're working with this transversal only right now. So let's determine if they're inside or outside of the parallel lines. Well, 16 is on the inside and 14 is on the inside. And then are they on the same side of the transversal or are they across the transversal from each other? These are going to be on the same side. Here's our transversal. They're on the same side. So they're interior and on the same side. So ba-da-ba, they're going to be consecutive interior. Wrong one. And we're going to slide it right there. Perfect. All right, the next one asks for angles 4 and 3. 4 and 3. Well, on this transversal, there aren't any angles 4 and 3. So that tells me that I need to come over here to this transversal. And here we go. We have angle 4 and angle 3. So our first step is going to be to determine, are they inside or outside of the parallel lines? And we have our parallel line right here. And we have our parallel line right here. And I can see that 4 and 3 are both inside of the parallel lines. All right, well, we've gotten that far. They're interior. And are they on the same side of the transversal, or are they on opposite sides across the transversal from each other? Well, these are going to be across the transversal from each other. So they're going to be alternate. So alternate interior. Alternate interior. And we put our little alternate interior right there. Perfect. All right, guys. That leaves you with 3 to complete on slide 14 and 3 to complete on slide 15. Once you have completed slides 12, 13, 14, and 15, I want you to go ahead and turn these notes in. I'll give it a little look-see. We may or may not have a practice, an extra practice on this on Monday. It's going to depend on what everybody's work looks like. So go ahead, give it a try, and let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Have a great day.